Hey everyone, this is Kandace and Sher with Processing Trauma Out Loud. Sher and I are doing a series, and this is part three. And we are talking about being brokenhearted. That's the main theme. But it's also, Sher, it's been fun to watch this conversation evolve um, because we didn't even have notes for this. But it's really evolving in underneath our protector parts, right? These parts of us that are show up that are trying to protect us from pain is this brokenhearted child. And we talked about in episode 1 that you've had this understanding that you have been brokenhearted since the womb. And today we want to just continue the conversation, and you have this desire to really get into when our desires go awry. Can you share a little bit more of what you mean? Like, what does it look like for a desire to go awry?
Mm. Yeah, I think our desires are glorious. I remember when we with our group of Wow sisters, seems like it was maybe, I don't know, several many months ago, we started to have this conversation about desire. And I remember how at first there was a little bit of uncomfortableness about, well, like, what are my desires? What would desires be like, right? Like we kind of, most of us had to kind of really peel back some layers to get to it. And I think we've kind of been immersed in that concept of what is desire? What are my desires? Is desire good and glorious? Or so, like, I will say, for example, desire can be anything from, like, and I will say for me, and we talked about this in episode 1, like, I have had the desire for a good mother. I mean, that was a deep desire and longing for much of my life that I knew it, I felt it, I was looking. Um, but I think what we're talking mostly about here is in the context of what are the desires that we carry that are directly related to the facts that we are carrying a broken heart.
Mhm.
So we're looking for love, we're looking for acceptance, we're looking for recognition, we're looking for somebody to see us, to know us, to want us. We're looking for these places to belong. And depending on our woundedness, depending on our personality, on our Enneagram type, on our
Human design.
on our human design, on our all of the different things that can cause us then to go in different ways to how we get those desires met. Like, just take the aspect of I want to be loved. Like, every human has the desire to be loved with pure love, with unconditional love, with lavish love. But honestly, we a lot of us would say we haven't experienced it in ways that reached those deepest places of our
Mhm.
brokenhearted little girl, right? It's not to say that others haven't even given that to us, but that many times we couldn't absorb it. So this isn't about blaming anyone. This is just about the journey to get what it is that our heart is really longing for. And we go about that in different ways. And I just touched on that a little bit at the end of our last episode about if you're the good girl, which I very much have been in my life, the way that I go about getting my desires met has been different than the ways that a party girl. Go ahead, Candace.
Well, I want to just ask you really quick.
Mhm.
Can you share, like, I feel like I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Can you give us an example of what it looks like for a good girl to get her desire met?
Well, for me, I will say, and probably there are nuances in this, but I think so. For me, it was if I do the right thing always, I will be loved. If I'm always have my eyes on the other person so that I can read them, so that I know them, so that I can even provide some aspect of what they want, then I will be loved.
Mm.
If I can, right? So it's this hard work of being aware, being hyper vigilant to read everybody in the room, like who's the person here that's the best here, who's the person here that's the best possibility. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Share. Oh, I'm feeling brokenhearted. And okay, so when we first met years ago, it was in a group setting.
Mhm.
And I remember witnessing you, and I would notice how you showed up so beautifully to care for each person in the group. And I would notice these emails, because we would have our group and then we were connected through email. And I mean, it was like the most extravagant care.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, I don't even know what to say after that.
Why is she even in the group, right?
Yes, actually, yes. Like,
Yeah.
wait,
I
you know,
didn't look messy. I have gone
no,
through life, not except for a few times, I have not looked messy very much in
no,
my life.
no. And so, but then, because here's the thing, that is your gift.
Mm.
And at that point in time, it was still your little girl driving the bus.
Yeah.
Not always, but
Hmm.
a lot of the time,
Yeah.
it was a mix, right? You got your gift, like you can't separate yourself from your gift.
Right.
But where the little girl comes in, it's actually the motive,
Mm. Yeah.
right? And so now, I actually feel in my body the difference in how you show up. You're still showing up,
Yeah.
and you still give extravagant care,
Mm.
but it's a experience of you that you are doing this from your highest self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much
And I'm
more.
not saying your little girl can't creep back in,
Yep.
but mostly now I just see you like shining in your glory.
Mm. Mm. Thank you. And when my little girl does show up, like usually I'm aware now, where 5 years ago I wasn't aware. I was in my highest self at times back then too. Like
Yeah,
I could love with a pure heart even back then.
absolutely.
But my little girl got involved a lot where now, and I didn't know it. I didn't recognize her, but now I know what she feels like when she's coming forward. And then at times when I don't see her, you will see her, or others in the community will see and say, "Hey, I think I'm seeing your little girl here. Like, does she need some care?" Right? And so, yeah, thank you for naming that. I think,
And I just want to check in with you because I realize that that question was a little bit of exposure, right? How are you holding that?
yeah, no, I'm holding it really well because honestly, like I remember those times as we were all new together and after we would meet together and it was like the meetings were something I had never experienced before. When someone would read a story and then the whole group would come around in ways that were like offering everything that we could. We were offering care. And we would finish the call. I think they were 2 hours long, if I remember right, or maybe an hour and a half, but we would finish the call and I was just captured by
Mm,
this experience. And I would just start writing. And I would kind of write a note to each person, like, Candace, I heard you say this, or I saw this. And I would just write a little 2 or 3 sentences to each person. And for me, it was part of me holding on to this experience that was just revolutionizing my life as I was also able to name the goodness that I saw in each
yeah.
of the member of the group. So I think I was in my highest self in some aspects as the ministry that was taking place
Oh,
to me was so profound.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, and so that brokenhearted place of you was your little girl, right, looking for the mom.
Yeah,
And here's what I want to say, and being the mom,
yeah, mm, yeah.
right? Being the
A-
mom.
And the broken little girl in me can spot the broken-hearted little girl in everybody else. Like
Oh, you
you
have
can see and know, like, oh my goodness. Sometimes I'll notice we're in a group and we're somebody shares something and we start moving on, and I will be like just looking at that person, and then I almost always will be like, wait, I feel like something happened there. Can we move? Can we come back? Like, do you need care here? Like my brokenhearted little girl sees the brokenheartedness in others.
such a beautiful gift.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, you've mentioned in our last episode that our protector parts can look like the good girl,
yeah.
the party girl, and the tough girl. This is coming from Dan Allender's work. And I remember reading through all of that and having a bind or a little bit of confusion because I feel like I can weave in and out of the party girl and the tough girl, right? Which makes sense because I'm an 8 on the Enneagram with a 7 wing. That's the tough girl and the party girl combined.
Mm,
And but what I want to say about how I showed up,
yeah.
I want to say I could not talk about this um, even several years ago without my shame hijacking.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I have such clarity and understanding on that little girl who, come hell or high water, she's going to get her needs met.
Yeah.
She's going to get her needs met.
Yep.
And that need for that youngest exile was to not be alone.
Yeah. Mm,
It's why I titled my memoir With You Now,
yeah.
because the way that little girl developed those protector parts as she became, more of the teenage girl was through a very active sex life.
Yeah.
And so if you read my memoir, you're going to read the moment that I told my story coach and I referred to my teenage girl as being very promiscuous.
Yeah.
And I was really thinking slut. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know I just I feel your compassion right now because I know that pains your heart every time I say that.
Mhm.
And that compassion is just like overwhelming me right now.
Mm,
And and then she leaned in and she looked at me with the most tender, kind eyes and said, "Do you mean that, fearful girl?"
yeah.
And it changed my life. Did it change it overnight? No. But it's the first time, Cher, in what I was 49, 50, that I had maybe a different story to consider.
Yeah.
And and so what that did for me was begin to slow my life down a little bit to think maybe I don't know everything about myself that I think I know. Or maybe the judgments that were put on me that I have now put on myself
Yeah.
have actually kept me from healing.
Yeah. Well, and because your desire was vilified, like you were made to feel that your desires were bad and wrong. But what were you desiring? You were desiring withness. You wanted someone with you. You wanted connection. You wanted love. You wanted what your desire was for was so good, so beautiful, so life-giving. But your parts just you went down a path where you the only way you knew to get what you longed for was through this physical sexual connection.
Mhm. Yes. And so that, I was telling somebody the other day in my memoir, I think I say this a few times. The biggest dilemma that I had was this war of how can I love something so much that I actually hate?
Yeah.
And so the shame piece would
Yeah.
come in because I was told as a little girl that I was dangerous,
Yeah.
right? So from a very young age, I believed that I was fundamentally dangerous, flawed, and bad. And I lived into that behaviorally wise, according to society. And I was a little girl just trying to get her needs met, right? In the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so those desires that went awry. I want to say it wasn't just about being alone. That was the driver, but it was also this sense of being protected.
Mm,
And so that won't make sense, right? Like I was doing things that actually was not protecting me.
right.
And in fact, they were causing me more harm.
Yeah.
And my deepest sorrow, like, I've heard people say, have no regrets. I would love to be able to say that. I
Yeah.
would. It sounds so wonderful.
Yeah.
I can say that I've learned and I've grown and I understand my patterns, and I can tell you there are certain things that I really don't believe I'll ever go back to.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you that I don't have regret because my protector parts hurt people.
Yeah.
They hurt myself, yes, but they hurt other people.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, when I hear someone say don't have regrets, I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you. I regret hurting other people. I understand why I did, and I'm not judging myself,
Right.
but I feel sorrow over the pain that I've caused.
Yeah.
So even when I'm working with people or even in relationships that I have today, I'm always struck by people that don't have a sense of sorrow for the pain that they cause other people. Very curious about that. I actually believe it's a part.
Mm,
It's a protector part
yeah.
that will allow, because to feel sorrow over the pain that you cause other people is very vulnerable, right? It's very
Yeah.
humble.
Well,
Very
and
hum-
yeah, and that's where the tough girl. We're saying good girl, party girl, tough girl, but it's the same good boy, party boy, tough boy. I think it's the same. But the tough will come forward and be like, nobody hurts me. Nobody gets to me. Like, but I love what you're saying here, Candace, in that when desires go awry, the desire is good and we bless the desire and we want to see the desire because it is the desire of our brokenhearted little girl who is just longing for being seen and soothed and safe and secure. But when our desires go awry, always we will be hurt or others will be hurt.
yeah.
Because in the protection of what feels like protecting that those vulnerable spaces, we build walls. Either we keep people out or we pull people in, or it can look any number of ways. But when our desires go awry, it brings hurt. And then yes, when we can see that and come to this place where we feel deep sorrow and that doesn't okay. And then I want to say this, even deep sorrow is not enough to help us change. And
It's
a lot
true.
of people will say this. They will say, well, if you're sorry enough, you would change. And I will say, I don't know, like brain science would say that's not true.
That's right. It's
We
experience.
have to go find the brokenhearted little part of us. When we can get to that part of us and we can offer the care that that part of us is in desperate need of, that is what enables change.
Yes. And I will just say what you just explained, that sorrow alone doesn't change us, was the story of my life.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I went down to the altar in tears, even
Yeah.
as a teenager, Cher,
Yeah.
like needing saved again.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, I'll start over tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I can be good tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe, and so damn, Cher.
Yeah.
50 years old before I experienced real transformation.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And the sorrow in that because When our desires go awry, it usually brings us into a space of judgment. We're either judged by others or by ourselves, which then leads us into contempt, where we have contempt for others or contempt for ourselves. And the antidote to all of this is love. Like
Mm.
the broken heart needs love. And us finding our way back to that little girl, and then us allowing other people to come in and get close. And this is process, this is slow. I think it has to be slow, but it as we can get close to that little girl and allow the love of somebody with us reaching her, this
Mm.
is what then makes the way for us to experience the healing, the wholeness, the integration, the freedom, the love, the life, the goodness that we long for. And
Yeah.
that's what this work does.
Yeah, what comes up for me, because um, I noticed I was like almost kind of spiraling a little bit about being 50 years old. And it was like this thought came in, oh no, you started your healing journey. Like you were reaching out in your teens. You asked your mom for help when you were 10.
Yeah,
And there have been pockets along the way. And I want to say sometimes maybe that kept me alive
yeah,
because my protector parts were extreme, right? I went to extreme numbing behaviors, whether it was sex, substance, um, drugs, alcohol, um, and so that healing journey, even though I want to just say, oh, just nothing happened until I was 50, that's not actually true.
yeah,
It was a very long, slow, and there were things that I was picking up along the way, but it wasn't until what you said that so when you have sorrow, I'm witnessing this with someone over the same protector part taking over, but you're not experiencing transformation. Share, I want to say, I'm going to say something very extreme right now, but I believe it. When someone is in that pattern and what happens is they're like, I'm beyond transformation.
yeah,
It can lead to suicide.
yeah,
I know that that is a profound, extreme statement,
yeah,
but it's when the light goes completely out.
yeah, yeah,
And so I had enough light, pockets of light, thank God, to get me to this place. And when I'm saying 50 years old, I was just transformed. I'm not saying without struggle. I'm not saying there still hasn't been a journey or will be a journey.
yeah,
But I'm proud of myself now
yeah,
for being able to befriend those protector parts and see what they need and not turn to those behaviors to
yeah.
numb.
And getting to your little girl and offering her, you offering her, and you allowing us to offer her pure love,
Yeah,
pure, good, whole, beautiful love.
I can just feel it.
Yeah,
Mm. Thank you so much for these conversations. Um,
so good.
we're going into year 4, right?
We're in year 4, girl.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're in year 4, and this has been a fun journey. I'm not saying this like we're ending or anything, but like I'm for whatever reason I'm sitting here today thinking, share, like we've done this for going into 4 years now,
Yeah,
and I don't regret anything about it.
no, I know. Yeah, it's been just good, learning, sweet, affirming. I mean, just the conversations for us, how often we learn so much from. This has been very sweet. These 3 episodes have been very sweet for me. I'm so great. I feel like, oh, I don't want to end because, but I think we're at a good place to move on.
Yeah.
But
Well, we can
um,
end the episode and you and I can talk for a little bit
and
afterwards.
we'll keep coming back to it. I have a feeling we're going to be in this space for a while.
Okay, sounds good. Love
Love
you,
you.
friend.
Yeah, love you too, Candace.